Harry, I am avoiding channel growth by doing 2 issues of Thor in a row. I struggled to pick out comics that were linked to the Epic collection I unboxed because I didn't have much for really. But this is Thor 501, the penultimate issue of Thor's series. It was cancelled for Heroes Reborn, with Thor and the Avengers and Fantastic Force all dying and being loaned out to Image Comics. Really like this cover. I've had it on one of my covers videos before. It's a good cover. And yeah, a bit of that is taking into account the other covers that were on shelves at the time. And Mike Deodato jerk. He does seem to be a divisive artist. Either you think he is the greatest, or you think he is a 90s act. I think this one stands out as being both drawn well enough and being a strong, simple concept image. What I need to explain is what was going on with Thor before he went away for a while. As you can see, he was shirtless. And this is a charity for us, because what was meant to be his costume at the time was hideous. You might hate the idea of Thor being shirtless, but my God, you would prefer it to the costume they had him put on. The creative team here are William Telner Overture and Mike Deodato jerk. And I have some sympathy for their Thor run. It never really got started because it was never given time to get started. Leading into Heroes Reborn, Marvel had this short-sighted decision to keep the books going until then. So someone like William Telner Overture is either brought on board to stall for time, or he has no idea he is only there to stall for time. I do understand getting these creators though. Only a year earlier they had some success on Wonder Woman, so they probably hoped it would translate to Thor, but obviously they didn't get time to do much of anything on Thor. William Telner Overture was a second choice anyway. They wanted Warren Fallis, who rebooted the setup and then bailed after 4 issues. He did all your typical Warren Fallis stuff. Cyber tech porn, chain-smoking self-inserts, shirtless hero who rejects the idea of God's existence because even in a fictional scenario, Warren Fallis will not allow gods to exist. The only, and I honestly mean this, the only good in those Warren Fallis issues is Amanda the Enchanter, who is handled perfectly. She begins dating Thor sincerely with no tricks or ulterior motive. She's treated wonderfully. Her bits worth reading. The rest is unbelievably shit. Our overall setup is the gods, they are no longer gods. due to the machinations of Warren Fallis and his rampant atheism. But I won't get into that. Thor, he had been cast out of fairyland before that, as had Amanda the Enchanter, so they were not affected beyond their powers being limited. And it is very similar to what William Tellner Overture did with Wonder Woman, actually. The main character being exiled from fairyland and their powers being cut down. Crazy man with a shotgun. I don't know, I've said it before. Thor fighting gangsters and street crime doesn't work, and the only reason I'm not saying in my opinion is because I think most people would agree. Having Thor fight a raving derelict with a shotgun is making a bit of a mockery of Thor. He's too powerful. Even with his powers cut down the way they are in this, he's too powerful. If you're going to have Thor fight someone like this, it needs to be more aware than it is here. The guy, he is handled by Thor rather easily, but he isn't presented in any way as a joke or below Thor's notice. He is treated seriously as a man with a shotgun would be treated in Spider-Man or Daredevil. And it isn't just a problem of strength class. It is ridiculous when you consider Thor has fought stuff like a very, very hungry planet and the Omega Titans. And now he is reduced to fighting a crazy man with a shotgun. Thor, he gets to visit Ginger Thor, since Ginger Thor was already not a god, and it is easy to track him down. This story doesn't start in media res, but it does cut to a lengthy flashback in the middle, showing us what Ginger Thor has been up to. Before we get into this, I will tell you about Ginger Thor. We saw a bit of him in that Epic Collection I unboxed. His first appearance was in that late 70s Thor character. He was a cameraman filming a documentary about fairyland, and he quickly fell in love with Steve. Lucky for him, Amanda the Enchanter wasn't in the room. In some of the most coincidental writing ever, seconds after being rejected by Steve, Tom Hiddleston was on call to manipulate him and his crush on Steve. He gave him a magic belt and magic gloves, which gave him the power of Thor. Ginger Thor actually died in his one story. He died a hero, sacrificing himself for Thor. But Roger Thomas brought him back 20 years later. Only a year and change before this issue we're looking at today. There's honestly not much there with the character. He is a rival Thor who is in love with Steve, but will never get with her because he's not the real Thor. I cannot remember if Roger Thomas even wraps him up in his 90s run. But the better appearance of him was during that, when he was in a few issues of Hulk. The day before the rest of the issue, Ginger Thor was getting bother from local tough guys for not paying them back their money. And Ginger Thor is a loser who cries about how he used to be a god when he is getting kicked in. This is pretty funny. They are very fast to establish all this new backstory to make Ginger Thor seem like a card. He's having an affair with a mobster's wife, and now all the gangsters are out to whack him too. This is the entertaining part of this issue. The way that they keep shitting on Ginger Thor to make him as down on his luck as possible. He has also quit being a documentarian, and he is now stealing cameras from the studio he used to work for to film hardcore pornography. And it even amuses me that the woman he is banging looks so generic that she could be Amanda the Enchanter in disguise. I suppose that's more to do with Mike Deodato Jerk's art being rather limited. I didn't care for Ginger Thor. I don't think anyone does, really. But I did at least laugh at him in this one. Back in the present, here we are with Ginger Thor and Thor. I'll give Mike Deodato Jerk this compliment. Of every artist, he probably made Ginger Thor look the least lame. So Thor, he tells his redhead counterpart about what has happened and how all the gods aren't gods anymore and that they need to find them. And the worst thing is that this issue hasn't featured Amanda the Enchanter yet. And then it ends with her being passed out, about to be raped by some ice trolls. And if you think that's a bit iffy, well, here is a letter from what I assume is a Marvel intern pretending to be a college girl to deflect criticisms of the cheesecake arts. Nah, I didn't recommend this. Not really. It is either very average or below average. And it ending with a cliffhanger being Amanda the Enchanter is about to be raped is horrible. She is, by the way. I'm not being flippant or anything like that. She is repeatedly raped by trolls. Cannot fault their taste, but I can fault their lack of consent. I'll give this 7 thumbs up.